Let me make sure I'm recording this so we can use it for a future day. All right, it looks like we're recording, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for coming to our informational meeting today. And for those of you who are watching the recording in the future, we're going to make this more of an on-demand thing that people can find it on our website. So I'm going to answer some questions for people who are watching it today and try and answer in a way that's both for the people watching today and for the people that might watch it in the future. And so my name is Cheryl Zimmer. I'm the Executive Director at Logos Public Charter School. And we do these informational meetings for a really important purpose. And that's because we are a different type of school. Our model is different, and we want to make sure that people understand what makes our model unique and so that you can decide in the future whether you want to partner with us or whether that works for you. And so I ask that you wait to ask any questions until the end, and that way I can go through and answer questions at the end. If you do ask any questions, you'll do it in the Q&A feature, and for those watching it live. And if it's something my assistant can answer, she might answer it. But I'd like to answer most of them live so that the recording so that people can capture it on the recording. So for those of you live, great. Thank you for being here. For those of you watching it on the recording, thank you for being here. We do have a frequently asked questions section of our website that you could refer to if you don't get your question answered in this recording. So with no more further ado, I'm going to start telling you about our school. So Logos Public Charter School started in 2010. We've been around since then for 11 years. And we've been doing this hybrid type of education since then. So I know a lot of schools are doing the hybrid type thing this year because of COVID, but Logos has been partnering with families with a personalized learning approach since our founding. And that's one of the things that makes us so unique. So charter schools were started in Oregon back in 1999, and they are part of the public school system for the last 21 years now. And what our job is to be innovative. We're supposed to be flexible. We're supposed to take some risk around education. And they said in the law that they believed in the diversity of public education, and they wanted us to be models and catalysts for the traditional school. And so that's our job. We're not supposed to be exactly like every other school that's out there, all the other traditional public schools, because if that were the case, then a child might as well go to a traditional public school. So we're supposed to have a focus that's different than the public schools in Oregon. And charter school enrollment in the state has grown over the last many years. And so there's about 6%, a little over 6% of the population of the state of Oregon public school students go to a charter school. And a charter school in Oregon is a public school. So there's no tuition, there's no fee. It is a free public school. It's just for our school, it's got a different focus. And one of the things I try and do to help people see the difference between our school, because you're not here in the building and because we do so much outside the building, that I like to put pictures up around the screen. So in a non-COVID year, we do outdoor school every year, and we go to the coast, and it's usually for certain grades. It's usually for 6th grade. And so you will see pictures around the screen, and you'll see in little font what I'm describing. And the reason why I try and do different themes on different slides, so you can get an idea of options for your child. One of the things that our school does is we provide lots and lots of options, things like outdoor school and other things, but you don't have to do those. You can choose what works best for your family. So what makes Logos unique is that families are choosing to take ownership of their own education for their children. So I have been around homeschooling for a very long time. I homeschooled my own 2 daughters, and those are my 2 daughters right there on the screen. My youngest daughter went to school for the very first time in 5th grade. My oldest daughter went to school for the very traditional school in 8th grade. And I am so thankful that I got to provide them that level of an education. They graduated top of their class. We have a great relationship. We never struggled with a lot of things that some families struggle with when they were older in high school. We just had a great relationship, and they were rounded physically, mentally, emotionally, academically, all those things. And I attribute it to the years that I got to invest in my kids and that I got to tell them who I saw them to be. And so it wasn't some other person in a classroom of 30 kids telling them that they're too short or too tall or too fat or too thin or too something. I got to tell them who I saw in them. And so my children are very well adjusted. They can go and stand in front of a crowd, and they're very confident, and they got a great education. And I tell you that not to go, patting me on the back. I'm telling you that because that's a lot of what homeschooling is. It's providing your children the education that you wish that you would have gotten. And so we do a lot to support families that are trying to homeschool their children, because it's hard. Homeschooling is hard. It's hard to do that every day and not have support. I did it before there was a model like Logos, and to be able to provide extras that can help that is just a huge thing. And I will tell you that I have, since homeschooling my kids, graduated college, I've been executive director, I've built a school, but I have to tell you the best thing I've ever done in my life is homeschooling my kids. And that will be the one thing that I am the most proud of when I'm long gone, is just the fact that I got to invest in my own family. So I take that really seriously, that we want to help families do that. So we do get to serve, one of the things that charter schools do get to do is we get to serve families across boundaries. We aren't limited to students in the Medford School District. We have students in Jackson and Josephine County, across both counties. And so majority of our population still does come from Medford, about 41%. We have about 17% coming from our next door neighbors in Central Point. About 16% come from Grants Pass. And then we have students all over the place in those two counties. We do stick to those two counties. We've had people who've asked us from Portland to Coos Bay to Klamath Falls to serve their kids there. We want to stick to those two counties, and that's what we've chosen to do for the foreseeable future. So one of the things we do is we send teachers to people's homes to go visit them once a week and check in on how they're doing. And so we serve pretty much the whole I-5 from Ashland to Grants Pass, and within a radius of Medford school, Medford our school. But so what we say is, if it's in the green, we will come to you if that's something that you want. It doesn't mean some families don't want us to, and we can meet here at the school, or we can meet at another location, maybe the library or something like that. But if it's in the yellow, then we're going to need a teacher will only travel to those locations if they already live near there or have students near there or something. We have a teacher who actually lives in Cave Junction, and so she will see students in Cave Junction even though it's outside our radius, because she lives there. And then the pink is places that we don't go. If you want to travel into the green to visit with us, to meet with us once a week, we can do that, but we aren't going to Lake Creek on a given week. So what is a personalized education? So personalized education is where we take each subject, language arts, math, science, social studies, and there's lots of different ways that we can get a child an education in that. There's for, say, language arts, there's lots of books we can do, there's lots of curriculums that are out there, there are a lot of choices we can make. But it's not just in books. We have lots of curriculum options, but we also have lots of online options as well. And then we also have classes here at our school that a child can take. So you could take language arts in a book, math online, science at our school. You can make a choice of how you want to put together this education with your teacher. Your teacher will help you through that to pick what is best for your child. And some people have a child who's more advanced and maybe they're ahead in reading. It doesn't matter what number is next to your child's name or for kindergarten letter. We can get your child a curriculum at that level. And so we can, if a child is a language arts is in like reading at a second or third grade level, even at a first grader, we can get them curriculum at that level and help work with them. If a child is struggling and is a third grader and only working at the second grade level or first grade level, we can work with them within that subject to get them, we want to meet them where they're at and get them the curriculum that they need so they can be successful. And so a personalized education is really just taking each subject and saying, how do we want to, get the credit in that? Do we want to do it lots of different ways? And let's talk about that. And I do know that people who are new to homeschooling can be pretty, it can be pretty daunting how many curriculums are out there. So we have a curriculum catalog of some great choices that we recommend, and you would meet with a teacher. So you don't have to know all the curriculums out there. You don't have to order, know exactly what you're ordering before getting into our school. We can help you with that. And I do get the question a lot about religious curriculum. Families, there's a lot of families who choose to use religious curriculum. Logos as a public school cannot purchase religious curriculum for you to use, but you do have the ability to use religious curriculum. And then we will just take what you're doing in that religious curriculum and make sure that it's meeting the standards of that particular grade. And so that's how we work with a family who's choosing to use religious curriculum. So some of these pictures, just to show you, is like a teacher meeting with a student with that computer up in the top left. That's a science campus class. I'm kind of going clockwise around. There's an art campus class. Obviously this was before COVID, so no one's wearing masks. There was that's a science class up in the top right. We have theater arts, we have outdoor school, the cute little boy and girl, the girl in the flag skirt, that's Day of the Distinguished, where they dress up like a character, a historical figure, and they give a speech like them, and everybody has to guess what they are. The little boy next to her is Beethoven, and so that's just adorable. But we have talent shows, Lego robotics, spelling competitions, field trips with sleepovers at the Oregon Coast Aquarium or OMSI or Zoo Snooze. We have a community garden. And so those are lots of options that are out there for you as you're choosing how you want to make this education. Oh, and I forgot the young man right there. That's a career field that he was doing an industry tour. And so that's all things that you can do through Logos. Obviously, this past year, we've been limited by COVID, but we look forward to being able to get back to doing all these things that we do so well. So, so what we want to do when we are getting to know you is we want to know the student, to know what works best for you. So when coming up with a personalized learning plan, is it a book curriculum? Maybe a student works best in a book. Maybe it's an online curriculum and they need someone who's giving a lecture online. Maybe it's a community partner and they go somewhere and get lessons in something. Or maybe it's a class at our school. So there's so many different options that we want to get to know you, to know what options might work best for you and your family. So then we take all that and we come up with a personalized plan. And we like to say that every student in our school has a different plan. I know when a student has a disability, they put them on an individualized education plan. Every student in our school has their own plan about what's going to work best for that student. But if your child does actually have an IEP for a disability, Medford School District is our sponsoring district. They provide the services for any student who has a disability. It's a relationship we have that they provide the services and keep the funding for the extra funding for students with a disability. So we have 2 special ed teachers at our school and an assistant that aren't employed by us. They're employed by Medford School District. And so we have the ability to do all the disability services, all the testing or things that we need to do to make sure your child's accommodations are taken care of at our school. So one of the ways that we figured out how to make this work best, because there are so many options, is we have education units. Education units are like monopoly money. This isn't money that you pay us. It is a free public school. And it's not money that we pay you, because that would be illegal for us to pay you to come to school here. So what we do is we set money aside for you to make choices around, your books or your online work or your curriculum, because if we didn't do that, then people could say, I want everything. And we want families to choose language arts, math, science, social studies. And so for kindergarten, it doesn't cost very much to get all the books you need for kindergarten or curriculum, because a lot of those books are workbooks. You write in them, and they're called consumable books. You throw them away or keep them forever if you want to as mom. So kindergarten, it doesn't cost as much. So kindergarten is $350. We set aside for us to order whatever curriculum choices that you are looking for. For 1st through 5th grade, it's $500. For 6th grade, it's $600. For 7th and 8th grade, it's $750. And for high school, it's $1,000. And we do get more money from this from our district for high school than any other grades. And it does cost more to go through like classes that have labs and big textbooks and things like that. Costs more in high school than it does for other grades. Now, I am under the impression that the board may up these amounts next year, and I don't have that in front of me right now, and I wouldn't want to put that out until they do, but I believe that they may be looking at changing the allotment to increase it for next year. We do get a lot of questions, these pictures about sports. So in 2017, the Oregon State Legislature passed a law that requires that students can participate in sports at their district at the high school level. So we don't, so the young lady right in the middle with the balloons and the green and yellow balloons, last year she was the #1 shot put champion in the state of Oregon. And she went to our school, but she played for North Medford High School. And that's what the law says, is that if we offer sports that are OSA sports, then students couldn't do that at their high school. And that way, if we don't offer it, then Grants Pass, if a student lives in Grants Pass and they want to play football, they can play football for Grants Pass High School. And that works really well. For non-OSA sports, that's typically K-8. And clay target shooting for high school. We offer for 8th grade and to high school clay target shooting. For middle school, we do track and cross country. For elementary and middle, we do archery. And so that's some of the sports that we do. But that law that passed also allows people to do before and after activities at their local school district if there are some extracurricular activities there. So that's how we do sports at Logos. And it seems to work really well. So one of the things that the way we do this with curriculum is if we buy it for you with our allotment money, and it is a consumable book, a child writes in it, say you have a kindergartner, we don't want it back. You'll pay full price because it's a brand new book. But if it's a non-consumable book and we have it in stock, someone else has used it, turned it back in, we will charge 20% of the new to check it out. So say the book costs $50 5 years ago for a student to buy it new, and they've turned it back in. We can check it out for the year for $10. And it's completely up to you and what we have in stock about whether you want to choose something that's new and you want to hear that brand new crack of the book and take the cellophane off of it, or if you're okay with using a book that someone else has used last year or the year before and getting to keep more of that funding to do other things with it. So if it is consumable, we don't want it back. You can keep that forever. But non-consumable books, we do have them returned at the end of the school year so we can check it out to someone else. Now, obviously, I talked a little bit about religious curriculum before. If you purchased your own curriculum to use, then we wouldn't obviously get that back. That would be yours to keep because you purchased it. But with school dollars, we need to be able to keep those things in stock for future years. We used to do it for free where people would not pay anything to check things out, but then they wouldn't return them and they wouldn't take care of them. So doing the 20% of new seems to work out really well. So what are our goals? Number one, we want students to work at the pace of learning that they can do. If a student is struggling and needs to take a little more time, if they are, can go really, faster in a day, that works. Whenever I homeschooled my children, some days we went till 4 or 5 o'clock at night, and we'd start, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. And some days we were done at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or even 1 o'clock. And so, and same thing with, their curriculum. Sometimes they would get done with it before the school year was ended. And sometimes we weren't done with it and we needed to keep going for a little bit longer to get it finished. So we want students to learn at their pace. I do know that there's a lot of families that we'll work with that have students on an IEP who have struggled in the classroom. And a lot of times they can make a lot of progress at our school with that one-on-one attention with a parent and the student and even the teacher and the student. So our second goal is we believe in academic excellence. So we believe that done well, homeschooling is the best option out there, that it is a great thing for you to do with your students or with your children. It is something you'll be so thankful for. Done poorly, it's the worst of them all, because your child will come to you in the morning and say, okay, what are we doing now? And if you say, just run outside and play, they don't know that they're supposed to be working on math. They don't know that they're supposed to be working on language arts or whatever. So they will not get the education that they deserve to be able to do what they want to do in the future. So I've seen kids that have grown up and said, thank you. I know that you didn't have to do that. I know that you didn't have to, you didn't have to work with me. You could have sent me to the school down the street, and I feel blessed by my education. I actually got a letter from my own daughter, my youngest daughter, when she went off to college, that said just that. I remember and I feel blessed. And then I've seen kids who've grown up and gotten really angry because they haven't gotten the education that they deserve. And so we believe in doing school every day, that for this calendar year, you do school every day. We put together a schedule. We put together a plan for the year. Doesn't mean that there's not some availability to go to Disneyland in the off season or something to that fact, but the pattern is that this is what we do. We get an education. We do school every day. We do have the same type of calendar as the traditional school district. So we do have things like Thanksgiving break, winter break, spring break is coming up next week for us. So for those of you watching the recording, that's not true for you, but for us, next week is spring break. And so all the holidays, Martin Luther King, all those days, take them off, love your family, enjoy that break. But every other day, children should be doing school. And I have to tell you, one of the things that will help you the best if you're new to homeschooling is setting up that pattern where they aren't questioning whether we do this today. It just is the expectation of this is what we're doing today, because this is what we do every day. This is how we do it. And so we want to partner with families who believe in this type of education and doing it that way. If a family wants to, travel and be gone for months on end, if a family believes that, I want to unschool and I don't really want to work with my children and I believe they'll learn on their own pace, that's okay, but that's homeschooling on your own. That's not with our school, because our school believes in a certain model of homeschooling and education that we take seriously. And so that's why we do informational meetings like this, so people know what type of homeschooling and what type of program we are. All right. And then the next thing is we do typically, not this year, not last year, and I'm almost wondering if the trend is going that way, but we do typically have to do the same test that the traditional school has to do, the standardized testing for grades 3 on up. So we are required by our district to test our kids every year. And honestly, when I homeschooled my kids, I tested them every year anyway, because I believe that it's a tool in our tool belt to understand what's going on with our children. It's not the be all and end all of who they are. I do understand that. And I do understand that it's also a skill that they need to learn. So it doesn't need to be taken like as this, major, huge thing, but we want to show our district. Our goal is to show our district that our kids are doing great. They're learning really well. They score higher than the district. That's our goal, is we want to show the district and the state what a great model this is. So, and then the fourth goal is we want students to graduate with an accredited diploma. So at our school, we are a public school that's been accredited just like every other public school. Same agency, same everything. So that agency, when they actually came in, and I believe they'll come in again next year, they come, I believe, every 5 years. They will look at everything you do and say whether you should get a diploma, whether you should get a accreditation or not. And they actually told us that we had more powerful practices than the top schools in Oregon. And they said it not because of necessarily what we're doing as much as what we're all doing together. Parents working with their kids, being involved one-on-one, targeted curriculum, all those things are what make our program so great. And so a student can also graduate high school at our school with not only their high school diploma, but also with their college associate's degree when they graduate high school. It's our scholars program. And so all these, kids, most of them, we had 7 students last year who graduated with their associate's degrees. And one of them, the little lady right in the middle holding up the flower, graduated with 2 associate's degrees last year. And so you have the ability, if you want your child to go to college while in high school and get dual credit so they can graduate with their foot in the door of college while they're still in high school. But even if you decide that's not what you want to do, when they graduate from Logos, they graduate from an accredited high school that is just like any other school that helps them get into the top schools, to anywhere they need to go. They can get into that with Logos. And that's not the case if you homeschool on your own. As you know, probably, if you homeschool on your own, you have to take a GED test at the end, which to some people can look like it was a dropout instead of a high school graduate. And just a shout out right there to the top left corner, she is our youngest graduate with an associate's degree. Last year we had a student, her name is Eva, that graduated with an associate's degree and her high school diploma at 15 years old. So you can definitely, if your students are, wanting to move faster, that is something that is a possibility at our school. So we have about 55 teachers that work at our school, and we have about 80 employees, 80 some employees overall. And these people are incredible, best of the best. We separate our teachers into K through 5, 6 through 8, and high school. And so if you when you come into our school, if you want to, you don't have to, but we typically have our students stay with their teacher year after year. So you could get, if you got a kindergartner, you could get a teacher, and you could have them for first grade and second grade and third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade. And that really helps maximize learning when that teacher knows you and knows your family that well. And then we have them move over to a middle school teacher for 6th through 8th grade. And then we have them move over to a high school teacher for high school, because the middle school teachers understand middle schoolers, elementary teachers understand things like reading, but high school teachers know how to set students up for a future with their transcripts and credits and making sure that they've got scholarship opportunities. So that's why we separate into those groups. So I kind of mentioned a little bit that students can take classes at our school. So typically we have elementary classes on Mondays and Fridays. So on a Monday, we might have like our core-based classes where a student can come to our school and take reading and math and science and social studies and those type of classes. On Fridays, we typically do our more elective-based classes, our art, guitar. Let's see, what else do we have on Fridays? I'm just going blank for a second, but all kinds of fun classes, Spanish, that kind of thing that our students can do on either a Monday or a Friday. Tuesdays and Thursdays are typically our high school days, and then Wednesdays are our middle school days. And so we keep our students separated for classes by that group level, so that we have elementary kids here on Mondays and Fridays, and the other students are here on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we also offer field trips, and we usually have, in a non-COVID year, a field trip every month, and students can say, yeah, I want to go to the ropes course, or I want to go to the, the food cooking class, or I want to go to the beekeeping thing. And so, and you sign up, we put out a list, families sign up, and that's how we have our monthly field trip. Some of the field trips are more dedicated towards, or targeted towards older kids. And so if that happens, so say we do the North Medford Planetarium one day, and that is in the dark, and little cute kids have light up shoes that kind of throw things off. And so we might do that for 4th through 6th grade. And then if that happens, we would still do an elementary K through 3 field trip that same month, so that those students aren't left out. I do get a lot of questions about kindergarten, because I think a lot of people who are interested for their students are interested in for kindergarten. And we do have things like a Kinder Smart class that's up there with the cute little diplomas on their head, and they will do a kindergarten type class. We also have music classes and things like that. And so we put out a campus catalog for campus classes, and families sign up for which ones they're interested in. And it's almost like a college, where we'll say, okay, that class is at 11:30 on Mondays, and if you want to do that, great. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay too. And we will put out the course catalog, if you will. And then we also believe in community service and service learning. So we do have a Sparrow every year, where a Sparrow, if you don't know what that is, it's where a student has a disability or some sort of, thing that's going on in their life that they need some extra help and support. A couple of years ago, this picture in the middle is of Tyler getting his wheelchair, off-road wheelchair. This year we have a Logos student who is going through cancer treatments. And so our students can do community service, and we partner with Elmer's, who will provide funding to help that student going through that, through our community service hours. It unlocks funds for our Sparrow. And so we believe in Sparrow clubs. We believe in community engagement and service learning. And so it teaches kids that sometimes someone has it harder than they do, and it teaches them compassion. And we love doing our Sparrow every year. And we also have back out in the back, like I mentioned before, a community garden that we will do events in, and students learn about gardening and all kinds of things. They have experiments and just different, different fun things, tie-dye in the garden. They'll have a pizza, day where they, harvest everything and they cook pizzas with what they've got. So great garden program. One of the things that we also have at our school is called community partners. So I mentioned that allotment, that monopoly money, if you will. And so once you have all your curriculum, say you have a 1st through 5th grader, and your curriculum all costs $300, and you still have $200 left over, you could use it for a campus class. You could use it because we'll have education units assigned to campus classes. You can use it for community partners. We have a lot of them that offer things like gymnastics or football or soccer or dance lessons or swim lessons. And so you can use that. Once we want to make sure we have all the core curriculum first, we can use that to get your children some enrichment activities or extra, things that can be tied to a subject. So typically it's tied to 2 different subjects, either PE or fine arts. So we can do lessons, music lessons, or PE lessons, or something like that. I know the YMCA used to do a homeschool PE class that they could do things like dodgeball and things like that. I think it got shut down because of COVID. So I'm not sure it'll come back, but I would hope so. It's a great little class. And so that's, we will partner with lots of different businesses to provide community engagement, things that they can do that we don't do here at our school. because we don't have as many sports, and because we don't have as many things like that, and because they get the opportunities to do those things at their traditional school, one of the things we've really taken pride in is our academic competitions. So in the top left, those cute kids in the yellow shirt are our Envirothon team. And we have won the state environmental sciences competition 3 or 4 times out of the last 7 years. And then we have Battle the Books teams. Those students will read 16 books and go to competition against 30 other schools in this region. And then that picture is actually, we went on to state, and it was great and lots of fun. And so we do things like Battle the Books. We do things like Brain Bowl. We do things like State of Jefferson Scavenger Hunt, and our teams typically do really well, and we have a lot of fun with that. And so that last year was it was actually last year, right before everything shut down, we were able to have a big competition with 27 schools here at our school. And it was the weekend before everything shut down. And so that was our elementary team last year, and our middle school team and our high school team for Battle of the Books. So lots of fun things with academic competitions as well. So I like to tell people, because a lot of times people are new to homeschooling, I want to tell them what to expect if you're new to homeschooling. So if you are, expect to make sacrifices. You can't homeschool in the car on the way to everywhere else you're going. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes mental, physical, everything you've got to do this well. And it is a sacrifice to make this choice. And so that's something I really want families to understand, that you have to set aside time to be able to do this and do it well. Expect to face daily problems and situations you may not have had to face before. So if you are a new homeschooling family and you're super easygoing and lenient and you don't really do a lot of structure, you probably won't want to do that when you homeschool, because in a lot of times children need to know what to expect in the day, and you will have less problems if you'll set up that structure. And I know that it can be really frustrating sometimes to homeschool and to do a program day in and day out with your kids, but we can help you set up. We have some tips for success that can help you with how to set up a daily schedule, how to set up your environment for success, how to, one of my things is I say, if you're a family who lets children negotiate, you may not want to do that with homeschooling, because I'll tell you that it gets really tiring if you negotiate, like, do I really have to do that whole thing? Do I have to, answer every question? Do I have to write it in pen? Can I write it in pencil? It makes for a long day. So I do recommend you put out a schedule and you say, this is what you're doing today. And then if you want to make adjustments for the next day, you can, but it's completely up to you. These are all just suggestions from someone who's homeschooled before. Expect to be challenged. Physically, mentally, emotionally, academically. I do tease that I did get degrees in my bachelor's degree and my master's degree after homeschooling my kids. And I will tell you that I learned far more homeschooling my kids than I ever learned in college, because my children would ask me questions that I didn't know. And so you don't have to know the answers to everything, and you don't have to have degrees in order to homeschool your children. You have to be able to learn together and work with your children to say, I don't know, let's go figure it out. And let's go study that, and we'll all learn at the same time. So it can be a challenge, but it can be something, as long as you take it as, yep, we're going to do this and we're going to learn together, it will be okay. Expect to be misunderstood. There are people who won't understand why you would make this choice. I had friends who thought I was making the wrong choice for my children. And sometimes you'll have family who think that. And you can just say, I know that's not the choice that you made, but that's a choice that I'm making. And families, people will misunderstand all kinds of things. My children, who can get up in front of a crowd of 700 people and talk in a mic, people would ask me all the times, don't I worry about socialization? And I will tell you that I think that socialization is a big myth of homeschooling. I taught at the traditional public school, and I will tell you there's more children who won't look you in the eye there than there are at Logos. At my school, I would say that the one thing for our students is they are used to talking to everybody. They're used to talking to brothers, adults. They're used to being, in a room and in the conversation. And so, but I will get that all the time. I went to the doctor maybe 6 months ago or so. They found out what I do, and they said, don't you worry about socialization. And so that you'll just have people that will misunderstand your motives, misunderstand, whether it's going to be okay for your children. And you have to be able to go, I know it's not a choice you'd make, but it's a choice that I'm making. And I had a dear friend who thought, like I said, that it was the absolute wrong decision. And then she came around and ended up wanting to homeschool her own kids for high school. And so you just have to be able to stand firm and believe that this is what you want to do and this is what's best for your children. But expect it to be worth it. Done well, it's the best thing. And I'm so thankful for the years I homeschooled my kids. My daughters do seem to think now that they're adults that when they have children, I will homeschool their kids. And I've explained to them that, no, I've done my job. But I am very, very thankful for those years and that investment that we got to give in each other. So for those of you who are watching this as a recording, I wanted to say first, to get the enrollment packet, you will go to the website now in just a minute and fill out the form that's on the website. And the keyword to get to the enrollment packet will be Logos 1203. That's our address, 1203 North Ross. So Logos 1203. For those of you who are watching it live right now, we will get a list of all the people that have watched this today, and we will tomorrow morning. You should be able to get an email with the enrollment link for this school year. I do recommend that you fill out the enrollment link for the current school year because it will get you up. We're not going to get through the rest of our wait list this year, and that will get you into higher up for next school year if you enroll right now. So for those of you who are watching live, don't worry about the keyword. For those of you who are watching the recording, that is the keyword to get the enrollment packet. So what is the enrollment process? On June 1st of every year, we typically release the new link for the following year. For those of you who are already on the wait list for the year before, it just rolls over. And by law, we have to take current students first. Obviously, we're not going to kick out a student who's in our school currently. And then we have to take siblings of current students because they want to keep families together into the same school. And we have to take students within Medford School District and then students outside of Medford School District. And that's by lottery law in Oregon. We do polls where we give opportunities. We'll do a section that has this group and then a section that has the outside the district. And so that, because we do have teachers who live in those areas, so we need to be able to provide, for students in Grants Pass, because we have teachers who live in Grants Pass. So it's the space that within the teacher that has that radius that would get you, into the program. So, and then if your child is put on the wait list for next year, we have 4 of them. We have one that's for elementary school, kindergarten through 5th grade. We have one that's for middle school, 6th through 8th grade. We have one that's for high school, 9th through 12th grade. And then we have our Scholars Academy, that college program that we have for 10th through 12th grade. So those are 4 different wait lists that we have going on anytime. We do have, at least this year, more students on our elementary wait list than we do on the other wait lists. The year before, we had more students on our middle high wait list. So next year we'll hire more teachers in our elementary to try and get more students in our elementary program into our school. We are also in negotiations with the Medford School District to increase the number of students that can come to Logos. Right now we have 1,060 students at our school, and we're asking to increase that over the next 5 years to accommodate for more students from our wait list. Last year was the first year that we had students in our elementary wait list actually be on the wait list all year and not get into our program. So I'm hopeful that with the hiring and with the cap increase that we would be able to get more students into our program next year. So Each time we have, so the next group that that watches this in the future, we will do a poll every 2 weeks, and then we'll do that group of current students, siblings of current students, Medford School District, outside Medford School District. And so then if somebody else 2 weeks later watches it, it's a different group and goes below. So those people from outside Medford School District aren't always getting bumped down below students who watched it later or came to a later informational meeting. So I'm going to go past that right now. You don't need to know about our randomizer and all the other things. But if you are interested in our lottery and how it's done, it is on our website. So for more information, we do have a school website. We have a school Facebook page. We also have a school community Facebook group where people can talk to each other. And then the way that students get know about any of our activities going on, we have a monthly school newsletter that will say, okay, we are doing an origami club. Oh, no signups required. You just come at 12:30, on that date. Or it's School Spirit Day, wear this. Or it's Picture Day, wear that. Or the Nutcracker is here, and here's how you sign up to make sure that you can get a spot to see the Nutcracker. And so we will do a newsletter every month with all of our activities that come to your email, and then that's how you sign up for things. Also on our website, we do have that Tips for Success document that tells all about the stuff that will help you be successful with homeschooling your kids. And we also have what makes a child a good reader, what makes a child good at math, articles as well. And we also have a frequently asked questions section of our website. So those things will help you as you're trying to decide and make, the best choice around, whether this works well for you. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to go to the questions now. And I'm going to try and answer them for the people that are here live, but I'm also going to try and answer them for people who may be watching this later. So let me do this. All right, so let me go to my questions. All right, my child is currently in a Spanish immersion program. Besides Spanish classes, is there any curriculum we can choose that is Spanish-based? That's a great question. There aren't as many homeschooling curriculums that are out there that are Spanish, but we are learning about more and more of them. And so we may need your help to kind of help us learn about new curriculum that is going on or that is out there. But our curriculum librarian will know more curriculum options. But I can almost bet that there's some great Spanish curriculums out there for students. We do also do things with things like Rosetta Stone, and we have our Spanish class as well here at our school. All right, is there a fee if my child wants to participate in Scholars Academy? Nope. Nope, it's part of what we do at our school. That's part of our program. So no, it's part of our program. For kindergarten age, any students dropped off for the Monday and Friday classes, or do parents stay and attend? Are younger siblings able to join? So for kindergarten students, typically parents will walk them to their class. They don't stay for the class because, well, and in this year, because of COVID, we're not supposed to have more people in our building, but we believe with kindergartners, obviously you're going to need to come in and drop them off. Parents don't stay, little siblings don't stay, because we have only a certain number of, spaces. That is different for things like field trips. For field trips, it'll tell you whether a younger sibling could come or whether there's limited space that's only for students. So that's a possibility at our school. I work 2 days a week and may only be able to homeschool 3 days a week. Is there flexibility to extend through summer and make a schedule like this work? My kids would be K in first grade. Yes, I think it's harder. I think it's harder to do it that way, but I do think it's absolutely possible. We don't have right now, and it could be a conversation we have going forward, but we don't have any teachers that work in the summer. So it would probably be up to you to make sure that you're continuing through the summer to get your children what they need in an education. But I think that that's great. And there are people that will do Monday through Thursday and do longer days those days and not do Friday at all. And they'll kind of stack classes. So you could even do maybe double on some days of the week, and that way you have less to do when it comes summer. Maybe Monday you do double, language arts. Wednesday you do double math, you know, and then if you're doing Friday, say you're doing Friday and you do maybe science, double science one week and double social studies the next week, and maybe do it that way. There's lots of options. There's lots of flexibility around that. My son will be starting kindergarten this fall. We are an Eagle Point residents. What is the likelihood of getting in with the waiting list? That is hard for me to answer right now because we are waiting on the district's meeting on March 29th to know if we have requested another 100 students, and most of those students would be in elementary school. And so it's hard to know what the likelihood is. It's just, we will put you on the list and we will let you know. It may be that you have to start homeschooling on your own for kindergarten, or putting them into a school for kindergarten, and then as soon as we can get to you, we'll give you a call and you can move over to our program. Okay, next question. If a scholar comes to school on Mondays or Fridays for math or reading classes, how are the classes structured for individualized plans? So those classes are more like your traditional classroom. They will do a lesson that is set for, it's not, so the individualized plan is in choosing that class. It's not in, they will do some differentiation in the class itself, but the personalized learning is around choosing what curriculums and levels you choose, not necessarily when they come to a class having different, you know, that much individualized personalization in that class itself. Is there a course catalog online so we know what a schedule might look like next year? Not yet. At the end of this spring, we ask teachers what they want to teach next year. We work on the catalog. It's going to, honestly, it's going to depend on, I'm hopeful that the governor comes out and gets rid of the 35 square feet rule so that more students can come into a class. And so all those things are going to make a really big difference in whether we are allowed to offer more classes or less classes. And so things are rapidly evolving. And so we should know more this summer. We'll be making plans throughout the summer. Next question, how long are kindergarten classes on Mondays and Fridays? Does the cost for those classes come out of the allotment? Yes. So different levels. I think the Kinder Smart class might be an hour and a half. And so that if it's 40 EUs, that's how you pay for it, is with your education allotment. So next question, should we be prepared to not get in this next year? Maybe, and I hate to say that. I do recommend possibly that, I'm not sure this is a great idea, but that we are going into conversations with the Medford School District that maybe people can reach out and say, you know, we really want to get in next year, and let's up the cap. I don't know if that's a great idea or not. I do know that that it's a lot of it is going to depend on whether we get that cap increase March 29th. And then if we can hire some great teachers in elementary school, we don't hire teachers unless they're great. And so we'll look for some really great teachers to hopefully expand our offerings in elementary school and hopefully get that wait list down, and then maybe middle and high can go back up. If your child took a main elementary course at Logos, would they still need a curriculum in that subject at home? So in elementary school, a lot of our classes are supplemental. A class 1 hour a week isn't meant to take the place of math. It's not meant to take the place of language arts. Now, art class, like you could do that once a week, and that could take the place of doing fine arts at home. Even science and social studies could probably, especially in the younger grades, take the place of doing that at home. But it just depends on the subject you're talking about, the grade level. In kindergarten, it's one thing. It's in 5th grade, 6th grade, middle school. Middle school classes are meant to actually be standalone classes, that they don't do a separate curriculum. But in elementary school, it's far more a elective kind of experience class. Will you expand on teacher and tutor involvement? Yes. A teacher would come to your house typically, because we like to be able to come out and help you and have you not have to come here, but you can also choose to meet here. And they will meet with a child 1 hour per child per week, and they work with you on Like if you said, my child's struggling in fractions, could you really help them with that? Could you help them write a 3-paragraph essay? And then they're available all week long to answer questions if you sent them an email or a text. We also have tutoring here at our school that you could do as well. But so our teachers get to know families really, really well, and they will spend an hour for each child. So if you have 3 elementary students, 1st grade, 3rd grade, and 5th grade, your teacher might stay for 3 hours instead of 1 hour. And they may work on some things that we have to work on for a school. Maybe there is an assessment that we need to do, but they also can work on the things that you need help with and help you set up your program for success. So if all the curriculum is purchased individually, can the allotment money be used for extracurricular activities, classes, lessons? Yes. If all the curriculum is purchased independently, and some families choose to do that. They want to keep it for younger kids later on. They want to purchase their own curriculum and not have to worry about returning it. And so that then that allotment can be used on other things. If a child is getting speech class currently with early intervention, will Logos be able to continue that? Yes. So that's part of that Medford School District, the partnership we have with them. They do provide speech services as well. Okay, I'm going to go over, I think there's some questions in chat as well. So let me go over there for a minute. For this year, if a child doesn't get in, does he keep the same spot on the wait list? Yes, he'll just move up, and that wait list will carry over to next year. Once again, so is it a slim chance of getting into kindergarten for this year? I'm hopeful not. I'm hopeful that we haven't had a contract extension in 5 years, that we can work with the district to see the need at our school. You know, instead of sending an email to the district, if you want to email admin at Logos Charter and tell that, I will submit it to the district when we have the conversation about that, you know, that if you want to tell your story about why you want to get into Logos and want me to send that to the district, I'm happy to do that. And so I'm hopeful that we can hire teachers, that we can get a contract extension so that we can get more kids into our program next year. How do you get in a registration form online? I can't find anywhere to put in a registration code. Yes, so that's for our people that are watching this recorded later on. Tomorrow morning, those of you who watch this live, you will get the registration form emailed to you directly. We won't be doing that for those who watch it as a recording. So make sure tomorrow that you look in your spam, because we do have a lot of people who have it go to their spam folder. So look for that tomorrow in the morning. If you don't get it by tomorrow at noon, email admin at Logos Charter and we will get it for you. But you should be able to get that directly to your email box. All right. Is there a percentage limitation on allotment money if all curriculum is purchased independently? No. The only limitation we have is on supplies. We will do a reimbursement for families who purchase supplies. It's $50 a year to do things like papers and pencils and whatever you need to do for supplies. And so we will, if families turn in the receipts for that, we can reimburse them for up to $50. That's the only limitation that I'm aware of right now that I can think of off the top of my head. All right, so let me see if there's more questions in our Q&A box. I don't see any more questions in our Q&A box. If anybody's got any more questions, you can email me at admin@logoscharter.com, and I'm happy to help you separately. For those of you who are watching the recording, you can look on the frequently asked questions, the tips for success, the you know, the documents that we'll put on that form that you'll see online. And if you still have questions, feel free to email me at admin@logoscharter.com. And so I thank you for being here today. Oh, I did see one more question. Does Logos offer computers for kids to use still? Yes, we have Chromebooks that students can use that they can check out for the year. So that is something that we do. So I see a thank you and in the chat. So I'll end with that. Thank you too as well. And I look forward to hopefully partnering with you. And we love what we get to do. And we love getting to support families who want to do this. So thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a great day. All right, take care. Bye.